Yep, and as you mentioned all of that, we are jumping into game number 2 between the Kamikaze Penguins, now on the blue side, and the glorified Banner Minions. Game 1 going over to KP. We'll see if GBM can use their team comp to work their way back into a victory in this next game.
Looks like the members of both teams are just running up to make real basic line of scrimmage here. It doesn't seem like there's going to be anything too crazy for the first couple of minutes of the game here.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Interesting to note that did in fact go TP again, and he went lethal tempo. An unsealed spellbook on Braum. That's interesting.
I've definitely never seen that done on Braum before, so I'm hoping it turns out very well for him. And I'll be interested in seeing what he decides to switch to.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I've never seen a Braum with that playstyle, but I mean, if I'm going to have faith in anybody after last game, I have to have faith in Zane.
Definitely. And don't forget, chat. Hashtag KP, hashtag GBM, support your team here.
It's such a close game 1. I would hope that the chat is at least partially split.
Yeah, I would hope so too, because I feel like it's going to be a great match either way. Unless something just crazy happens and, you know, one side can't stop the other.
One of the really interesting psychological things in these early weeks is that sometimes a team just hits their stride. You know, they come together and they figure it out, and it could happen as early as the first game and as late as the finals. But communications just start working. We'll see.
And we see standard starts here. Amumu starting topside, making sure that blue doesn't get taken away from him. Nautilus on the bottom side. And I think for KP doing what they can to get that bottom lane ahead early here, whereas last time it was Zane and Skylar who were able to get that early lead. So we'll have to see if the Ezreal Morgana are able to do what it takes here to kind of keep themselves neutral in this bottom lane.
Especially with how good Asaf played in the end of that game. Like, he was a decent reason for their win. I mean, you know, he went like 17-3 and 11. Just insane stats from him. It's important that they use his proficiency on that champion when he gets it and really start pushing that lead with him.
Yeah. I think the laning phase is definitely going to be interesting for
Ooh.
Oh,
for
wow,
GBM
we
here.
actually see
Wow.
a solo kill in the top lane. Both flashes used. Malphite just a little too late. Ornn able to get that empowered auto attack. And wow, you bring Crazy Chris in hoping for the best, and unfortunately gives up the first blood here.
Asher,
On him.
yeah. Asher definitely playing a very strong Ornn in the top lane. I think one thing that's in the disadvantage for GBM right now is that Malphite's very strong against AD champions.
Ooh.
But ooh.
Just the amount of damage coming out the skirmishes, I don't think anybody, not even these players, are expecting the damage. And just as we were saying, we want to see this bot lane play a little bit more aggressive, and they pick up the first kill for themselves on the Sivir.
And just an incredible play by both of them. Tribbles hitting the binding. Aza following up immediately. It was extremely well played by the bot lane. Now Scalar coming back with his TP, hoping to gain back some of that tempo. Ezreal was probably close to his tier. He's got to be. Looking to take it back soon. Sivir just continues to shove him in as a Sivir is wont to do.
Yeah, we see an aggressive invade from Amumu. Now he's on the bottom side of this map with no wards. Both of these players stepping up here. He's going to walk in onto the Braum. Flash is available. Braum flashes away. Rooted up is that Sivir. The Ignite is on. She flashes and heals. Not going to go down there, but every summoner spell there used from that bottom lane. And now here comes Nico from the Tribush here. Gets some damage down and picks up a kill now. 3-0. For KP, and they are off to a very explosive and very early lead.
What great eyes on Mansterferg to be able to see that play, come behind it, showing that he has competency and comfort on this champion as well. It's really, really good to see that.
I think something to look at here is that in previous game as well, you know, Mansifer, he went bot lane pretty early to help, you know, secure some kills with Corki, or a kill with Corki. And this game as well, he just went straight to it and actually got Zane this time.
Yeah, he gets that first roam, and now not only does that lead to another kill on the bottom lane, but a Mountain Drake very early into this game.
1,000 IQ heal.
Yeah, Braum is here trying to steal it, does not get it. It goes over to Nico, and now we might see a little skirmish. Ezreal forced to flash away. He was out of mana, and a flash as well from Mansterferg. But all in all, Mountain Drake going over to KP.
I think a really interesting part of that was that they decided to do that without Amumu having Smite. So it was actually really close for the steal for GBM there.
Yeah, very scary. Amumu actually had to smite that for health early as they started that dragon. So a good pickup from the Nico, able to use that burst damage to secure that objective, knowing their jungler was without smite.
And what a good statement by KP in this early game, getting up 3-0, just doubling down on their early game pressure, really showing that this is the playstyle that they're going to try to keep going for the rest of the game with the roamy mids and just really strong priority in pretty much all the lanes. It's the early game is in this game much better now that they feel a bit more comfortable.
And you know, Morgana's a lot like the Malphite pick. It really only takes a good snare late game to kind of secure a kill, as long as, you know, you have a good advantage enough to take advantage of it. But I think the Sivir pick and the Braum pick were definitely good picks to kind of negate that initiation from Morgan Q.
Down.
Yeah, Nico looking for something else here. Is going to be spotted out. So GBM's bot lane able to walk away from this one. But as you were saying, priority in all three of these lanes. Nautilus not able to get himself on the board yet. But GBM, they did a good job last game of kind of playing from behind, so they're not necessarily too new to this, and they do have that scaling Sivir. Once she gets a few items, she's going to be a menacing sleep ice, but now we see the damage coming out. Morgana flashes forward, an auto attack and the ignite are on. It is ticking down, and that is going to be the kill. Tribbles picks that one up, and Sivir now 0-2 in this lane, no teleport available, and Ezreal now 0-0-3 and going to be able to close the gap on this CS deficit.
And it was really important that they had a CS deficit on that Sivir. It was one of the most important things about this game. I think that Ezreal being able to catch up there is just such a huge tempo swing in the favor of KP, even more so now, when really the only gold advantage that you're getting is from your mid lane and ADC's CS lead.
Yeah, and I think notable as we spoke about this coming into this game, C-Baller has to have a very strong game on this Orianna. He does already have a slight CS lead. He is up in experience as well. So we'll have to see if they're able to play around that come time that these team fights break out.
The Nico is now starting to close that CS gap as well. I mean, Orianna might pick up a few, but she's closing the deficit slowly but surely now that she's spending some time in the lane rather than roaming and making their bot lane's life.
I'm going to be really interested in seeing is if Asuf finishes the Iceborne first, or if he goes for the Manamine first this game. I feel like it'll change the dynamic in lane.
See this skirmish in the mid lane. The Amumu ult onto 3. Shyvana going to lock 2 up in place. Amumu now caught in the middle of 3. A little bit of trouble here. Amumu goes down, but so does Nautilus. Both of these junglers traded over. A 1-for-1 so far with the teleport used from that Ornn. A good place to be for that Malphite, but now they're looking for more. He steps up a little bit too close, and Mansterferg manages to take him down. Some more gold going over to that Nico, and any lead that Orianna may have has now been neutralized because of those kills. But Braum finds the knock up here. The Pop Blossom is on. They are going to be shielded up, but stunned are the two members from GBM. Oriana going to pick up a kill and a shutdown at that. Now Ornn looking to trade it back here. Volcanic Rupture not going to be enough. Oriana dropping a little bit of damage. Braum trying to fight him out, but the Bellows Breath and the Flash picks up the kill, and it's still going to skirmish. Jeez Louise, 8-3 is the score after all of that. Ezreal gets one for himself on that Sivir again, and just a crazy hectic fight in that mid lane.
Oh, that's what we said before the game. They both picked team fighting compositions, and with the aggressive play that both of the teams had last game, it was either going to devolve into a kill fest like this or have multiple very close skirmishes again. KP, like, really being able to push their advantage a little bit more. I feel like there's a little bit more cohesion, and they were already good at taking neutral objectives, but now they're taking neutral objectives when it's safe.
Yeah, definitely. I think something I want to point out in that previous team fight, you know, Neeko decided to hold on to her ulti for a very long time. And I feel like if she used it earlier, they managed to secure all 3 of those kills very easily instead of having a 1-for-1. But then you had Zane come in, and Zane had switched out his heal for an exhaust, which ended up negating a lot of that Neeko's ultimate damage, which ended up probably, like, you know, saving him during that fight. So I feel like Zane actually saved that Oriana in a particularly amazing way by switching into that exhaust.
Oh, see the ball delivery onto Neeko here. Oriana having to walk away from this one. The jungler is here. Oriana getting dangerously low. Goes down now a 2v1. Malphite caught in a very bad spot. The bandage tries to lock him up, but he is under turret. Flash away from the Malphite, but a 1-for-0 overall. And we said that we needed to see Oriana do big things, and KP know just that. They know that that's the win condition there with the ball delivery, and they're able to shut her down. Now 1-2-2 is that Oriana.
Nautilus isn't doing poorly, but you can really see the difference in pressure just from the competency of these two players on Amumu. It's like night and day, the amount of pressure that Always Gonna Game has been able to put down this game. Instead of the like slow pressure of gold differential with Shyvana. Nope, right in the bottom lane.
In a very bad spot. Ignite is on. Another auto attack on the hunt to try and keep her safe, but Ignite is ticking. Will it be enough? Here comes True Shot Barrage, and that's going to do it. Heal being used, but at no cost to the Ezreal ult. Picks up another kill, and now 2-0-3 is both members of this bot lane for KP, and they are making quick work of the Sivir Braum lane.
You really see Ace of, I think, he more than the rest of his team really had a lot to, you know, go back to the locker room, so to speak, with playing extremely well last game. Now a little bit more confident and just using that confidence to spur an advantage in lane here.
And I feel like a big factor for that bot lane is the fact that Zane's not playing a poke support anymore. So Triples is just having a heyday of being able to land all those Qs.
It also seems that while Zane is really going to be crucial once they get into the mid lane phase, he didn't really pick the Braum for the lane, and yet these fights are happening in lane because of Triples being able to get such priority on him and be able to land those bindings. So it really put Zane into a bad position with that pick. And I also think that there's possibly a bit of unfamiliarity with the champion just in how some of these fights are playing out. Against a comp like this, you can't afford to not do everything in your power as Braum, you know?
Yeah, and as the directed camera put us up in top, first brick actually going over to KP in the mid lane, and that's just going to increase that now just over 4,000 gold lead and open up the map a little bit. Rift Herald's still available as well.
I just want to say that in the last game there was a 4K lead passed over like 5 times.
Unstoppable force in the top lane, not going to be enough. Mumu now on a killing spree, and KP might be in trouble here in the bottom lane. Omni Hunt is on. Morgana now with the Soul Shackles trying to find the stun here. She goes golden. Ezreal able to walk away from this one, but Morgana caught in the middle of 3. Ignite is on. A couple more auto attacks will do it, and a shutdown going over to Sivir, and that is exactly where you want that gold. Put that on your late game carry. a beautiful trade kill on the bottom side of the map, but up top we saw another turret going down and Rift Herald being started up.
That's exactly the kind of move that GBM needed to make. They need to get some tempo on the map. They need to get some map priority and pressure so they can actually start pushing into the jungle, establishing vision lines, and maybe get a chance at contesting this next dragon.
And I feel like objective-wise, you know, the kill for Sivir and the kill for Mumu there both benefited greatly for the people who
Ezreal
got
stepping
them.
forward here, might have bit off a little bit more than he can chew, and another shutdown on that Sivir. And dare I say it again, that is exactly where you want that gold. Ezreal getting a little too cocky there, but now 4 members on the bottom side of this map, 4 KP, Zane in a lot of trouble. Sivir and Nautilus have gotten themselves to safety, but that Braum stuck in the middle of 4. He actually stand behind me to the minion, flashes away. He's got the unbreakable, and he makes it out alive. A good job wasting the time of 4 members, but Dragon now available in less than 20 seconds.
What a beautifully executed escape by Zane there.
Thinking too to know when to dodge the abilities. He jumped right past the Nico and Ornn there, and the tower going down by the Rift Herald in bottom, but it was going to take a tower somewhere.
Yeah, Dragon going down now. 3 dragons, 4 KP, and 3 outer turrets as well. Malphite trying to trade one back, with this gold deficit increasing, just over 4,000 gold in the favor of KP.
And again, we see KP's top laner on this Ornn, a tank champion, just putting in such a performance, getting over a 20 CS lead here, moving into the mid game. Just really great play by Asher these past 2 games.
Yeah, Ornn, a notable pick for Asher. They tried so hard to ban out this mid lane command support, but now we see he is in trouble. The shockwave and the ultimate coming out. Pop Blossom not going to do anything there. The Ornn Horn trying to keep his team alive, but it's too late, too dead on the side of KP. And a return fight there for GBM. Able to pick up 2 kills, and that ball delivery, absolutely beautiful. KP just face checking that bush in the mid lane.
And that is exactly
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so I was saying that's exactly the combo we were talking about. This can be very dangerous for KP this game, and it was great to see it happen.
For the turnaround here, Mumu is in a stun onto all 4 members. Orianna goes down. That is a lot of damage now out of the fight. Nautilus will follow. The ignite is on shutdown, going over to a Mumu. Braum caught up here with the dark binding. Tribbles picking up a kill, support for support there. Nico trying to find another one onto this Sivir. The spell shield is not available. The blooming burst is. One more auto attack will do it. And that is 4 members playing just too aggressive there underneath that mid lane turret, and 3 members able to push them back with Man's Deferg, picking up one on the backside of that fight.
And that was really just overconfidence. I think that GBM, I was about to say before that fight happened that they were almost in the exact same position that they were in last game when they started to take those mid-game fights, started to get some gold back, started to buy themselves some time, and they're just feeling that tempo starting to come back again, but not quite having the gold to pull that fight out there.
And Amumu having a beautiful ultimate there, which just kind of secured all those kills, and then Nico coming around the side using her TP. It ended up being a very sad thing for GBM there, because they didn't have vision anywhere else except for that top side of the mid lane.
Yeah, and what a good TP by Manstiferg to just make the call to come and do that. It's not often that you see good TPs behind due to deep vision like that. And it is just, it's very tragic for GBM. Even with the Sivir being able to spell shield the Amumu ulti, there was just nothing that they could do there.
Yeah, and just when things were looking good for the glorified banner minions, they are now at just over a 6,000 gold deficit. Baron up on the board here in under 30 seconds. I don't think either team are going to be looking for that. but KP definitely controlling the tempo of this game, losing a fight but turning it around quickly, taking these objectives now up 4 turrets to 1, 17 kills to 7. Off the back end of a fight here, they may look to pick up the neutral objective in that purple worm.
And again, you see KP's carries really coming out and putting on a performance. Ezreal's not nearly at the place that he was last game at this point in the game, but now moving to pick up his Manamune very soon here, having a Vamp Scepter, going the Iceborne Gauntlet route again to help kite away. I think that if Ezreal can have the reaction time to use his E to dodge the Malphite ulti, then they have a really good shot at winning any of these team fights, but whether or not he can execute.
See, on the hunt coming out now. They might be looking for a fight. Malphite caught out in the middle of 3. Ornhorn coming out. Malphite dangerously low. He goes down 2. Orianna shockwave on herself, not on anybody there. Braum ultimate coming out to try and keep him alive, but that is going to be a very clean fight for KP. Nautilus trying to get something back, but it does not matter. That is all 5 dead. And just as you were talking about that, Ezreal, he wasn't even needed in that fight. And they're looking for that Baron. A clean 5-for-0 ace.
Yeah, another great ulti by Amumu there, and especially because he has the Leandries, and they just kind of sat there and got burned away by the combination of Leandries and W. I think the Ornn ulti also played a huge factor, and Orianna missing hers.
Unfortunately, Orianna whiffing her ulti there was a huge problem. She could have gotten in like a 4 or 5 man ulti there. She couldn't get the ball over there. Her shield target had died, and it was a hard situation to react to because of the hard engage that KP is bringing.
So with this game now slowly going further and further in the favor of KP, how does GBM work their way back into this game? We know that they can play well from behind, but what is it that they need to do in order to do just that?
You need to start funneling gold, which they're already doing, onto Sivir and Orianna. I think that they really need to play to their strengths, try to play from a defensive position, especially now that they've got Baron, now that KP has Baron, rather. They need to play from a defensive position, wait for KP to miss position, and utilize their ultis to really get a good fight, especially now that KP appears to be moving towards a 1-3-1 or maybe a 1-4-1 split. Oh, Ornn's rotating over. Ornn's rotating over.
And I think something to pay attention to there is that the last team fight, Nico really didn't get a lot off with her ultimate, and she's already running a Hextech Proto Belt, which means her engage with her ultimate is going to be very powerful once she actually gets it down. And the fact that GBM here in this game is very ultimate reliant as far as being able to get picks, but they have a lot of ward coverage down in the jungle, and KP just cleared out a lot of it in the top side. So I mean, I feel like if GBM can actually get a good pick off that means something for the team fight, then it'll greatly increase their chances of being able to push and all that kind of stuff.
There's always the wombo combo potential here.
Nautilus getting caught out. Nothing just yet underneath this turret. Now we have to take a look here. 3 members, in order to get the full use of their abilities, have to be right on top of GBM. The Amumu has to bandage toss in. Morgana wants to get in with the Soul Shackle and the Pop Blossom as well. That could spell defeat in this next fight if they're able to get a good wombo combo between the carries here, the Orianna, the Braum, the Nautilus underneath this turret. Baron minions are pressuring though. We'll see if they look for something here. Mumu on the outside trying to find a bandage toss. Sivir stepping up here trying to clear this wave. They do have good wave clear, but this cannon minion in the back baroned up is going to be able to snipe this turret down. And if GBM don't do something soon, they might get engaged on as this turret goes down.
It feels like for GBM, you almost just fall back and give the inhibitor here. I mean, they've got 4 dragons, and the best that you can hope is that they only take 1 inhibitor, right? Go back, heal, get home guards, run top, try to defend the tier 2. It seems like a lot better odds than just dying inside of the base.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a good call. And just as you see it here, KP trying to take more of this base here. The top outer turret is down. Eyes on the inhibitor turret, and we might see the exact same thing. Them just walking in these Baron empowered minions, but Nautilus looking for something. Dark Binding locks him in place. Not able to find the engage. and KP doing a great job of staying spread out. Nobody's trying to get a clumped up Orianna ult with the Malphite delivering.
I feel like GBM really has to do something here because right now KP has an Ocean Drake as oh wait, they just lost their Baron buff, but they still have an Ocean Drake, so it's very easy for them to stay healthy while sieging these towers. And with Super Minion's mid lane now,
Orianna actually having to step over to that mid lane to stop these supers from pushing in, and that might be the green light, that might be the go ahead for KP, but it looks like they're just going to back off of this one.
Feels like GBM picked this whole like hard engaged strategy, and then they've been afraid to pull the trigger. And I wonder if that's just a symptom of the group having their first competitive games together, or whether that's just nerves or their gold deficit. But whatever it is, they need to have the courage to pull the trigger and try to make something happen if they want to come back in this game.
Absolutely here. It looks like GBM just going to be farming out of their base, trying to keep these lanes under control with another dragon coming up in just under a minute here. GBM, or KP, excuse me, pushing on that bottom side. Nautilus now caught up on the Soul Shack, but he's able to get away with the dredge line. Will be safe, but that is an ultimate down for Morgana. So not so much utility coming out if they do decide to fight here shortly.
Is an ultimate down, and Morgana ulti is very, very important to their game plan. They really need all of their ultis to be able to combat the just sheer wombo combo that GBM presents. I think I'm into chokes here. Baiting towards the dragon.
Yeah, it looks like the glorified banner minions just want to give this objective up, just as you were saying. They want to kind of keep these lanes under control. They want to get the gold onto the Sivir before they start fighting again. Not necessarily in a position to contest anything like this, but in just under a minute, Baron is going to be available. So we'll have to see what they decide to do with that Baron buff. That definitely could mean their demise.
I think important to point out is that KP has really taken all the strategy that they had last game and really focused on pushing their tempo and pushing their lead and trying to close this out. They've been much more decisive in getting the actual structures on the map, as well as getting all the neutral objectives. I mean, they've got 5 dragons. Like, what a performance by Always Gonna Game to be able to manage the map in such a way to get 5 dragons before 30 minutes.
And now another Baron going over for that ever-increasing gold lead. What do we got to see here out of GBM? How do they stop the bleeding? We see them pushing out the waves, but is it going to be enough as we move later into this game?
I think that it can only get better for them, right? Like, there's only more gold to get, right? The longer that the game goes when you're behind, the more chances that you have to come back. And I think that that's what GBM has to do. The KP has the mid inhibitor, which is really the worst one at this point in the game because it doesn't directly pressure the Nexus towers. It will over periods, but if the Nexus towers are full and the mid lane inhibitor goes down, even if it's left alone, it will not take any of the Nexus towers. So they really have to worry about guarding their sides and keeping them off of those side inhibitors, because once the 2 inhibitors are down, then you lose the pressure game. Then whatever chance you did have to contest the neutral objectives is like dead on arrival.
And we see Nico now pushing in that top lane with the Baron empowered minions. She does have the teleport available if a fight breaks out. 2 Mountain Drakes, 2 Infernals, and an Ocean Drake on this sieging Kamikaze Penguins team. And now Orianna taking a huge chunk of damage just from one combo on that Nico. We see 4 members from each team on the bottom side of this map trying to open up this base even more than it already is. Sivir trying to poke out with the Boomerang Blade. She is caught up with the Dark Binding. Spell Shield is on, so she's going to stay safe for now. But on the top side, Nico doing whatever she wants. That inhibitor turret goes down. The inhibitor surely will follow. And on the bottom side of the map, that inhibitor turret going down. And now GBM have to pull the trigger here. They have to stop the bleeding. They are going to be 3 inhibitors down here in just a moment. And now we see On the Hunt coming out. The ball is on, but now it is off. Call the Forge guy coming out for the knockup. Amumu getting a huge stun here. 2 going over to Mumu, 1 going over to Nico. Now Nautilus caught in the middle of 4. Malphite on the other side, and another clean ace for the Kamikaze Penguins, and that is going to be the game in their base.
Such a huge difference in KP's play this game. They actually finished it out early, and they actually had a good gold lead, and they kept it this time. Rather than it going back and forth kind of and staying kind of, close together compared to last game. And I think GBM really just didn't pull the trigger until it was too late.
It seemed like they didn't really use their engage tools to benefit them in the mid game when there was still enough of a small gap between the two teams' gold differentials that their ultis actually made up for some of that lost gold value in just CC. Right? Like if the enemy's stunned, then they can't use their auto attacks. They can't use their abilities. They're just nothing until after the CC duration ends. So they had all the tools that they really needed to get themselves in a good position this game. But KP making a statement, really pushing their foot on the gas pedal, really cementing their lead on those neutral objectives and converting those into tower kills.
And I think that was a good step back and kind of realizing what they were doing right and wrong in the first game. And then as soon as they got their lead in this game, they just stepped on the throats of GBM. They were forcing everything they can get, getting all of the objectives, both structures and neutral objectives. The Amumu pick, I think, playing a huge role in this game, as well as something that I want to point out is you honestly cannot ban out Mans Deferg. We see them trying to put so many picks or so many bans to that one player, and then he comes out and he pops off with a Nico and a spectacular game.
I think that's going to be really important moving into the rest of the season, that their team captain is able to push past getting target banned and still be able to be a shot caller, still make great TP plays, still be able to deliver on their champion despite that pressure. I think that his leadership and composure and just being able to dig deep into his champion pool contributed majorly to Kamikaze Penguins' mentality going into this game and their ability to keep positive and keep pushing.
Absolutely, and I think moving forward, so game 2 going over to KP as well, so now 2-0 starting up the season, and right now these guys looking phenomenal as a team, Ornn being that huge frontline that they need as well as their engage tool. Amumu and Shyvana both coming in, and you honestly played them both great. He played that carry style jungler with the Blood Razor on Shyvana, Amumu as a tank, the bot lane playing so safe on that Ezreal Morgana, Mans Deferg again playing great here. Moving forward into the season, I would love to see GBM. It just felt like they were kind of rolling over. Unfortunately, in this second game, they played the first game so well, but in this game, not able to really fight for these objectives. They were getting behind in lanes. They didn't really utilize the Orianna Malphite engage too well. And in that one fight, we saw the Shockwave completely miss. And in this fight as well, Malphite ulted out of range of the ball, so wasn't able to deliver it into the back line. So I definitely like to see them to recollect and kind of see how they want to play moving forward.
I think that the composition was there. They just didn't have the cohesion of a well-practiced group together to be able to trust each other enough to pull that off. I think that a lot of it is contributed to by the fact that it's early season, and I think that if we saw them run this exact same comp in like week 4, week 5, it would be a completely different game.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it'd be a lot different later on if we saw the same comp, but I feel like at the same time, it's really hard to pull a win out of it when, you're not doing anything to bring yourself ahead after your top lane's lost, your bot lane didn't win either, and then your mid lane kind of went even almost. But the mid lane still kind of like grabbed kills by roaming. We didn't really see Orianna roam anywhere and try and like give an advantage to another lane. So, and Amumu did a great job in the jungle. Objective control was great. He was counter jungling. He was pulling in kills for lanes. I feel like overall, KP did a lot better in the laning phase, as well as the cohesiveness of working together to secure kills and secure leads and objectives.
Absolutely, and I think not to take anything away from GBM, they played very, very well in that first game. Unfortunately, couldn't find it in the second game, but that is going to wrap things up for today. Gentlemen, is there anything that you guys would like to say on the way out?
Good night,
I say, good night, but I think, very well played by both teams. I just think KP pulled out a little stronger on the second game compared to the first one. It's kind of like they found their mojo and just got it going, the ball rolling in the second game.
Really, really well played by both teams. I think that Asher showed a great performance in both games on Ornn, getting his Urgot banned out both times. Asa did his job on Ezreal, and the team was really working well and in cohesion with each other.
I cannot agree more. I think both of these teams played very well. This is just the start of a long season, so these guys will be able to come back, regroup for the next week. But for everybody here at Casual EAL, that is going to wrap things up for us. If you guys haven't already, make sure you follow at Casual EAL on Twitter and Casual Esports League on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for an amazing 2 games. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Sticks and Zix, for casting alongside me. And with that, we say good night.